Well, it is most certainly up, y'all. I still gotta get reaccustomed to it. This is Captain Eon, and if you prefer to consider me family, forever family, that is, then I'm your brother's son. And I just want to take my time and share on the idea of before and after. I don't want to assume that you know, but if you've been in Christendom, or is it Christendom? But if you know of the story of Lot's wife, Jesus referenced that. I hope I'm not mistaken. To play it safe, it was referenced sometime after in the scriptures. Remember Lot's wife. And Lot, his wife, and his children were surrounded by darkness, all sorts of evil and wickedness. They actually made a home in the filth. Let's say the pig pen, right? And God, in His love, sends for him. They have a little, God and Lot have a discussion. But ultimately, He's like, you got to get out of there. So God pulls him out, and the instruction is don't look back. Well, as history unfolds, Lot's wife looks back and pays the price. That came to mind as it reminded me of me. And in all transparency, I find myself looking back in a sense of what if, what I should have done. If I had that to do again, I would do it this way. You know, I would go right instead of left, so on and so forth. And communication between our great God and I was showing me the error, and not in a condemning way. Big ups to God, you know. So one of the many reasons I love him so. But really, his help, because because I've asked for help and said, Lord, help me with this. And he really does answer. The before and after. He gives me the words to say and provides the solution. Great God, great God. But as he's dealing with me on this, he's providing the help to say, it's this looking back that is really iniquitous, if that is even a word. But that is what I have come to understand iniquity to be. For by looking back, and mind you, and myself, remind myself that everything behind us that God has forgiven and covered in his blood he blots out of his memory. So everything behind the coulda, the shoulda, the whatever, all it's really doing is making me salty. And it's this saltiness that is the root and the cause of bad attitudes, resentments, bitterness, fears, doubts, things that paralyze and are only good for keeping me in one place, to hold back, to stay in that place. It might not be professional, but this is real time. I get it. You get it how I give it, you know. Sorry for that. And the thought came to mind that these thoughts, you know, my thoughts are words. I think in words. Pictures usually accompany them, but for the most part, it's words. And when the reminder comes, remember Lot's wife, I remember, based on the application to my life, to watch the backwards. Those words of, I should have done this, or when I think about what happened and then what I should do, those are backwards. It's behind me. And every time I take that look behind me with these backwards, I become salty. I turn salty. God, the true God, the Messiah for all mankind, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, he is into taking us forward. That's why he leads. Again, this is my commentary I'm sharing. If you share that sentiment, great. But he is my leader, always compelling me to move forward. And he's always leading me towards the afterwards. He says, come, get away, move from the backwards and come forwards. If God is for us, who can be against or behind? For while I look backwards, God assures me there's no need to anymore. Remain going forward. Because He is in control and He is over everything. So before there was anything, He was. Let me say this another way. As a man, I'm looking backwards. God says, don't worry about that. Because before, not behind, before there was, He is, He am. He is the great I am. Before everything. And the way He works for me, one of the just the mind-blowing, the soul-exploding ways is that He came before, He was before, and He established my afterwards, my forward. The before and after. For me, it's one or the other. I can't be in both places at one time. He is the before and after. This leads me to a lesson that I really want to have a true grasp of. So every 24 hours, for me, just speaking it out loud in the atmosphere, it is vitally important that before the day starts, I get into conversation, communication with the one that is before, present, and after. And backtracking a little on the looking forward, it's such a fine balance for me where don't look behind. Keep forward motion, but don't project too far. Guilty as charged. Focus on, okay, that's where I gotta go, but the next step. Bringing it back now to, I must begin communication before I start each day. For I've learned that because He is the before, the now, the after, and He loves me so much. He is the best teacher, friend, everything. As long as I come before my day starts, He lays it all out for me. He says, not in these words, but in our conversation, He provides the blueprint. He provides the tools necessary in a learning setting because I want to learn as his disciple. He gives me the lecture, the lesson. This is today's lesson. This is the growth track for today. I wanted to say something else, but I just put that out there. And then I begin the day and go through the day. The day is the actual practical part of the day. So he says, okay, here is the lesson plan. Now go and practice. So through the day, whatever I encounter, whatever I go through, learning to not look back, not too far ahead, right there. Just going through everything. I've realized that this is the actual practical experience. Then afterwards, at the end of every 24 hours, it's important to come back to the conversation and review and go through things I did right, this, working on, so on and so forth. And I would say, for me, that is the importance of being rooted in both the before and after. Not, and as long as I have those two anchor points, those bookends, everything else works itself out. Well, let me not say that, because that's, as long as I do that, I feel I'm on the right track, because it's in the image of my Father, because he is the author before and the finisher. He is the beginning and the end. Not to make mention of everything else going on in between. But when you're doing something, you're putting up a fence or a poster, but a lot of times you put it before and after. You're writing a story, a beginning and an end. And then just side note out loud to myself, enjoy the journey from the before. Don't worry about what I left behind, because what's ahead in glory is you and I gotta experience that for ourselves. I am Captain Neon. This is my testimony.